biography entitled I Count My Life by Sabbaths, what I consider to be America's premier toilet reading book. Section number 2, chapter 24, Dr. Early Clore. Dr. Clore was a veterinarian who serviced all the farmers in the region around Greenwood, and he owned Hoosier Mineral Feed Company on the southeast corner of Main and Washington Streets. He and his wife, Anna, took a liking to my father, having followed my dad's trials and tribulations with the zoning and planning commissions in the newspaper. On more than one occasion, he would park his Cadillac outside the little white barn church across Washington Street from the back of his business, and on warm summer Sundays, he listened to my father's earnest preaching. Occasionally, Dad would find a $100 bill in the offering plate that the good doctor had slipped to one of the ushers, especially on Easter Sundays. I'll have a lot more to say about Dr. Clore in a later chapter, but one story will suffice here. Dad told my uncle about Dr. Clore's generosity, and my uncle, always having a nose for money, wanted to meet Dr. Clore. He asked my dad to arrange a meeting, which my father did. The three couples, Dad and Mom, my uncle and aunt, and Dr. and Mrs. Clore, drove to the Copper Kettle in Morristown, Indiana for dinner. My uncle also had a line of approach he was going to use to insinuate himself into a relationship with the good doctor. While they were sharing small talk, my Uncle Nathan, who suffered a bit from diverticulitis, asked, "Dr. Clore, just how long is the human intestine?" Dr. Clore replied, "Reverend, I'm not sure about the human intestine, but a horse's intestine can be anywhere between 50 to 70 feet long." Well, this pretty well shut my uncle down, while my father doubled over with laughter. Chapter 25, Potpourri. By nature, I'm an introvert. I don't mind being alone, and I prefer quietness. I also joke that I am borderline autistic. Everything is so loud, so vivid, so impacting, that I've had to build walls of protection. As a result, I describe myself as an onion. There are many layers, and it takes people a long time to penetrate past the first layers, because I tend to keep people at bay. Thus, living in the glass house of a preacher's home was difficult. People have described me as moody, aloof, cold, rude, stuck-up, frustrating. The oldest son of a pastor is always on display, and I got lots of criticism. Mom would say to me, "Steve, you can be so charming if you would only let people see that side of you." Introverts are deeply sensitive people, and so when I was criticized, it hurt. I dare not let it show because it was a sign of weakness as far as I was concerned. One particular searing moment comes to mind. I had to sit on the front row of the church so Mom and Dad could keep an eye on me because I had graduated beyond Virginia Guffey. Well, as sometimes happens as a boy is sitting and squirming in church, his trousers ride up his butt. Then, when everyone is asked to stand, the unfortunate lad feels his pants jammed into his crack. For me, it wasn't cool just to pick my pants out of my crack with everyone behind me watching. So I would turn around facing the rows behind me and try to be as inconspicuous about it as possible. On one occasion when we got home, Mom and Dad called me in their bedroom and began to scold me. "Sister so-and-so said you stuck your tongue out at her tonight." Well, I most certainly did not, but maybe it appeared so in my effort to extract my pants from my crack. There are a lot of other people and experiences early in this period of my life at 953 English Avenue that I count it a privilege to say I know something about. The milkman, the knife sharpener, the rag man, the strawberry vendor, the guy who would come around with a pony and with a hat on your head, take a picture of you for a few cents. The knife sharpener would stop periodically, grind your knives and scissors to a new level of sharpness. Somewhere in Mom's picture, there's one of me on a pony with a cowboy hat on. The milkman is making a comeback. But I can remember him with his white uniform carrying a rack of fresh milk and cream to our door. I can even remember the iceman bringing ice for our icebox. The ragman would push a cart with huge wheels down the street, crying to the top of his lungs, "Ragman! Ragman! Ragman!" If you had old clothes to get rid of, or old cloth of any kind, rags, you brought them out and threw them on the cart. My favorite was the man who came around in late spring, early summer selling strawberries. He'd be carrying dozens of small fruit boxes strapped in a frame on his back, crying, "Strawberries! Strawberries! Strawberries!" A couple of friends of mine thought it was really great fun to hide behind a tree when he got near, and when he would shout, just before he shouted, "Strawberries!" we'd scream, "What makes your nose so red? Strawberries!" He didn't think that was funny, but we did. Then there was the ice cream cart. These were not motorized in those days, and they didn't have a loud PA playing that familiar kiddie tune. Instead, bicycles propelled them. They rang bells, and we loved to beg our parents for a few cents and then run out and get a treat. My dad loved fudge bars and drumsticks. I still love fudge bars and drumsticks, but my all-time favorite is the orange dreamsicle. It's not unusual for my father to bring strangers into our home. Most were alcoholics, sinners of every kind that my dad was trying to save. My mother was always expected to whip up a meal for them, and Dad would send them on their way with his testimony. Finally, a brief word about our family that will be helpful to the reader. After having 3 kids in 2.5 years, November 10, 1948, May 12, 1950, May 19, 1951, there was a break of about 9 years before 2 more came along. William Paul, January 31, 1957, Ruth Esther Hope, August 4, 1961. To me, this seemed like 2 different families, since there were 2 different expectations and 2 different sets of rules regarding these 2 sets of siblings. I will sketch out more about the last 2 children as I go forward, but the differences continue to be more evident to me as time passes, because while we had parents in common, our memories were and are manifestly different. This is the last segment I'm going to share with you. You will now have to buy my book, I Count My Life by Sabbaths. It's now available on Amazon.